guys and girls need to be just kind of aware and smart in terms of pacing the body.
Yeah, if you're making deep runs and doubles, that also factors into the decision. I talked with Matt Wright, his core tennis crew, as they were approaching their early and mid 40s, they started to have hip and knee problems. I mean, that's a lot of court time and a lot of grinding from tennis, and then you throw in pickleball on top of that for some of these players that are even in their late 20s or their 30s. That is something that will be a factor, but it's just constant start and stopping. I think that there's probably certain things of pickleball that are worse on your lower body if you're making deep runs and playing multiple matches every day in a traditional format.
Because you know why?
Why?
Because it feels right.
It feels right.
Legendary.
You have to get a new one of those every few years as little AJ keeps growing.
Little baby AJ, there he is.
There he is. Baby AJ's
get
not
her
such.
Out of there. We need.
Just crop that out so it's just Adam and AJ.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, Corinne, love you, sugar, but get off my father-son mug here. Come on.
I mean, it's a dad mug. It's a dad mug. It's not a mother mug.
It literally says dad right there. DAD. Me and the Nugget enjoying our lives together. That's what it needs to be.
This is taking nothing away from the person that brought that child into this world through,
she did do that.
Child labor, whatever. But this is your moment.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what. I was there for that birthing, and that wild. I mean, I don't even know if I want to be there if we happen to have a number 2, because it was extremely intense.
But I feel like once you've done it once, it feels like it. Now you know there's a baseline, and also that thing's probably going to come out a little easier the second time around.
I disagree on the first part. You're probably right on the second part. I don't know how these things work. But
all I heard in the background was Mullen go, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, your turn, Mullen. Oh no, sorry. Sorry, what did I say? Oh, my bad. Yeah. So what's
Adam,
episode
92?
92, getting up there.
Apparently.
Rob, what's the deal? What are you doing? You've been having some struggles. We had an episode about the surgery, and you've been a little sickly since then. Can we get going straight ahead and not have these things pop up for you?
Please. I'm tired of being sick. Just some virus that's been ongoing. I don't know. I've been on antibiotics last week. The whole left side of my face was like, burp. And then your little lymph nodes under here.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't feel it here. I felt it here and here.
Oh, so
Not
like
right
Tommy
there.
Boy.
Yeah.
Tommy when he gets hit with the board. Not so much here. It's here.
Yes. But it was weird because I've never felt like the tenderness from my lymph node all the way up here. And then that kind of went away with antibiotics, and then I got pink eye. So the virus is just, it's just making its way across my body. It's just leave me alone. Let me just live.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Ugh. Terrible.
But nonetheless, here we are.
Getting it done. Podcasting, talking.
How was your weekend?
A little pickle. It was good. Yeah, I was in D-Town, the Big D, not Deckle Bar, Dallas, Texas, and
Let's
Texas
hope you're
Open.
not in Big D.
Yeah, right. That's correct. And I have some fond memories of this tournament, from the Texas flag painted court to the hometown tournament where many moons ago I was really the only Texas pro. Now there's a bunch of them, but I've been playing that tournament since number 1 and had some solid results. And to see me dead dinking 900 times a game to what the game has become and what I witnessed this past weekend, it's pretty impressive growth for the sport.
Pretty. You just jogged a fun little story that I remember about the Texas Open that was told from a man that you stayed at his house quite often, and he didn't even know you were there half the time. And that's Kevin Stark.
Oh, K Stark. Oh yeah,
K Stark. And I remember he was talking to Walter and Christina about he's just telling the story about how they went up and played the Texas Open. This must have been like when they played it in like 2019. This is before I even started, but he was like, yeah, we saw Simone coming off the court, and Walter and I were right there, and I had to stop Simone. I was like, Simone, Walter's your biggest fan. He's dying to meet you. And if you know Walter, he's like he's the last person in the world that would ever want to talk to anybody. So it was classic Kevin of just like, can you imagine like you're Walter, you're like, this is like, it's pickleball. These pros, professional athletes. And he's like, Simone, biggest fan right here, Walter. Kevin's just dying.
Yeah. Well, what'd she do?
He's like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. Like, maybe sign an autograph. Just the classic, just like, oh, this is one of my fans. And Walter's just like, screw you, Kevin.
Yeah, yeah, that all sounds right. Yeah, the Dormans and Kevin Stark, that's old school. So they groomed a lot of professional players back when we were taping lines and playing on temp nets. And
I don't think we can use the word groom anymore. They molded players. They
okay, gotcha. What is that? What's that from? Is that from the
I think
the
it's
whole
pedophiles?
Like English? I think it's like the English thing. I've seen a couple articles about some bad stuff going on. Anyway, let's focus on positive things here, and that is my fault. Yes. I will not use that word anymore.
You're fine. I just had to bring it up. I didn't actually have to bring it up. I didn't. We could have just kept going, but I thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, Rob, I need you to hold back here.
Uh-oh.
It's going to be tough. You can say what you need to say, but let's keep it under 90 seconds or so.
Are you talking about outdoor pickleball versus indoor pickleball?
I am. That's exactly. So it was either that or Caitlin Clark. Those are the two things that I have to bring you down a little bit on. But It was a little breezy at the PPA Texas Open this past weekend. And
Adam, do you know how much a pickleball weighs?
Actually, I do not. Let me guess.
Okay.
0.16 pounds.
Wow. I don't know.
212 grams.
0.8 ounces.
0.8 ounces. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's right. That's
pretty light. Pretty light.
About 1 out of 20. So
pretty light.
So 0.05 pounds.
Sure. Yeah. Also, Adam, did you know the pickleball has holes in it?
It does. I did know that, actually.
Do you think the holes make it more likely to be blown around in the wind or less likely? I actually don't know this.
I would say
less likely, right? Because the wind can go through it.
Because it can go through. Man, we're killing it over here.
So maybe we should play with a ball that does not have holes in it.
I don't know how that would work. You're gonna have to ask someone a little more savvy in the world of physics.
Adam, I'm just trying to find any solution to not play indoor pickleball because obviously that's the answer. But okay, carry on.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was just interesting. We had the top two ladies' seeds go down. Some wild stat like there hasn't been a final without Anna Bright or Anna Lee Waters in 2 years or something like that. But it was interesting because it is an equalizer and you do get more upsets, but we did have a lot of high seeds like into the quarters and semifinals and things of that nature. But it was wild. There was a couple, when you hear the players talking about it blowing their paddle, not the ball, that's kind of a level of wind. And also just some of the shots, like a couple downy soft, short hops, half volleys that, come back to you and are move past you on your side of the court as opposed to making it over the net, which of course everyone is trying to do. So there were some unique points, some professional athletes whiffing the ball and all kinds of havoc on Humana Championship court.
Adam, it's been a long time since we both played tennis.
Yes.
Like very, very long. But I remember I was in Wilmington, North Carolina for a spring break trip. I had my doubles partner He was a freshman from Brazil named Mauricio. I'm not going to say his last name. It's Correa. But that's not how you pronounce it. I would get butchered. Sure. But he was like, it was his first semester. It started in January. We were playing, this was maybe early March. Been in the U.S. for a couple months. English not super sharp at this point. And I remember it was just a very windy, blustery day in Wilmington, and we were out practicing, a little practice match, and he was getting so frustrated because it was so windy, and he missed a shot that he shouldn't have missed, and he threw up his racket 20 feet in the air and just looks at the sky, and I think I've probably told you the story before, and just screams, "Stop winding!"
Did you laugh?
I was dying because why don't we call it winding? It's winding out here.
Yeah.
It's raining. It's winding. It's but no. And thinking back to tennis though, I never got I remember wind, but it never like really affected play that much, right? Like it didn't like change it that drastically to like where pickleball, it's like you have to aim to the right side of the court to get the ball to the left side of the court. Tennis, right. Not so much. Like maybe on lobs or like high, like I just never remember it really pushing it that hard.
Play in Corpus Christi, Texas, and then get back to me. I mean, I hear you. There's a lot more weight to it, and you're hitting through with more pace. It affects it less. There's just so many soft shots and touch shots and plane shots in pickleball that you need to hit, even in the new day and age of pickleball. So there's just more situations where it's going to drastically affect what's going on. So
tennis does have. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say lots of people getting set at the kitchen for a fourth, sixth, whatever, to take it out of the air, and it's a weird situation where you're suggesting in the commentary booth for them not to take it out of the air, which is almost always preferred. But that's the situation they were in.
Hey, the purists out there are going to be like, look, this is another element to the game that's unique and it's variables and you have to adjust. And
yes, I'm not playing anymore.
Shut up.
I'm not playing anymore, so I might be in that camp. You are playing, so an extra variable. I still say go no timeouts, problem solve on the fly, deal with the elements, and it makes it more interesting. But there are obviously some concerns with that, and some more clean play if the conditions were less or we played indoors more frequently.
Fair. I do think, Adam, we've talked about this, like the different seasons, the different conditions, the different types of balls, the different playing styles. Even tennis has an indoor season where, it's fast paced. It's a hard court that plays really quick. And I think, again, I'd like to see indoor pickleball all the time because I do think it's an indoor sport, but I don't feel like that's super realistic with just infrastructure right now in terms of having facilities big enough to accommodate all the tournaments that there are. Right. So I think with that said, a nice little balance would be to have a little bit of an indoor season. There are plenty of facilities that can host PPA events, APP events, fully indoors. I do think one thing with like going back to the tennis analogy, I'm pretty sure college tennis has a below 55 degrees play has to go indoors. And I believe there's a wind limit. I think it's 15 or 20 miles per hour potentially, where you also don't play or you have to play indoors. Do you think pickleball or the tours should adopt a similar standard? Because I thought PPA did have a mile per hour limit at some point.
They did, but no longer. So there is actually not a number. I believe it was 18 for some period of time months ago. Don Stanley holding the little, I don't know what it's called, that measures the wind. Stop winding, the winder.
Stop winding.
We'll call it the winder. It's tough with the infrastructure, like you said. Some tournaments have on-site indoor facilities, at least a couple courts. Some don't at all. Some you have to go to a different location. So I'm not sure what the perfect answer is. But yeah, maybe there should be a number limit. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think a little.
It makes your job a little bit more interesting, right? It's like
It
less
does.
repetitive. You get to talk about something new. You get to see some silly stuff on the court. How players are adjusting. Do you think anything should be adjusted? Let's say we just continue to play in the wind, right? Do you think anything should be adjusted in terms of the 2 out of 3 switch at 6 on the last game? Do you think anything? Is there another way to do it format wise to make it more equitable?
I mean, I think it's
It's pretty
fine.
equitable now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
A lot
it
of people are
is.
complaining about like matches should never be determined by which side you're on first or whatever, but it's like
Right.
you're still playing every side the same amount.
Yeah, good. I mean, there's often a good side, bad side, and I don't think it correlates to every player
No, it doesn't.
their preference. I think I would say most players prefer to go into the wind because they have a little
Oh,
more
not me.
little more freedom. But some players don't. They like to be with the wind,
I have no
and
power, Adam. Need
and
that power.
also the discipline that you're playing, singles, mixed, or
Yeah,
gender, it affects it. But we saw, like, often there's a good side, bad side, 2 lopsided games in a tight game 3, but there was situations in Texas where you couldn't figure it out. Like, one match, one side was the good side. The next match, because it was swirling, it was going across.
swirling.
It was going
Yeah,
across the court and at the back of a certain side, so diagonally through the court, and it depended on the personnel on court what was the good and bad side.
Selkirk Cork Strike, lightweight, breathable.
Seamless.
So what I do like is the all one color. It's a nice style.
Yeah, it looks
so
good.
These are available.
Rob, 6 month sole guarantee too, which is super important for me because I'm an explosive athlete and a high-end mover, world-class foot speed and footwork. So sometimes I just blow through the soles. I like to tie my shoes really tight, and sometimes I get the loop of the tie and I slide on that and it rips, and I hate it when that happens. Seems to be my left big toe area, just sole gone. So to have that for 6 months is something that I need.
Did you notice in Texas, anyways? Because usually that does happen when you have like kind of an enclosed court where there's like it's basically you have the bleachers, and that's essentially a windscreen, right? So it's blocking the wind.
Right.
Some wind does get through. It gets a little swirly. You don't have any correct direction. But then you go out to some of the outer courts, and you do have a clear direction, right? It's
Yes.
like one side's
Yes.
clearly better than the other. Was that what we were seeing there?
Yeah, so I think there's more of a situation of swirling winds on championship court because you have little corners that are open, or you have whatever. But on the outer courts that don't have the grandstands and the seating and some of the video boards, all of that stuff, it is more consistent. And then on
Yeah.
championship court, it gets a little freaky sometimes. So I do
Yeah.
think that is a factor. Yeah, so I don't know on the number. I mean, that's a tight call. I don't know exactly who's making the decision. I'm sure it's some higher ups at the PPA, Don Stanley, lead referee, involved, and I think the players have some say in, all coming together to halt play for a period of time, or possibly going indoors if you do have facilities on the grounds to do so. So it's just going to be a work in progress. I don't think there's a perfect answer for it.
Yeah. Don Stanley, the lead Facebook commenter as well.
Oh my gosh, we have a little baby. AJ, come to daddy. Woo!
J.
Come on in. Oh, he's got quite a mustache going on here, buddy.
Oh
AJ.
my God. Look at this guy. AJ, there's mom. God, all you had to do is say, there's mom, and an immediate smile.
Immediate. AJ, you got dinosaurs on your shirt. What's on your face? What is it?
Little chocolate?
Did you have chocolate chips, AJ? That is not in your regimented diet. That is unacceptable.
Little Nutella?
AJ, is that a kitty cat?
Little
Kitty
angel.
cat over there?
We need more, you know how you always see like little videos of Rory and Tiger Woods like hitting golf balls? I need that of AJ, please.
Of AJ? Yeah. Oh no, we have some footage of that. So I'll get on that. Maybe we can play a clip on low to high, on point, follow through over the shoulder.
It's natural.
The kid.
When he has genes like the genes you guys provided him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, mostly from who, Rob?
obviously you, Adam. Being
Good
a
answer. Oh, as Corinne's raising her hands, as me for sure. So,
I didn't think Corinne could hear us. Could she hear us?
yeah, she's there. Oh, she's making fun of my technique as we speak in the background. She says
Golf or
my
pickle?
technique is garbage.
Because she can
She's
make fun of
talking.
both.
Yeah, she can. Yeah, she can actually. She used to make fun of my full swing blocks in the kitchen. She's like, no one else does that. That's not even a skill. You just get lucky. And I'm just like, do I? If I do it over and over
I
again,
do it a lot,
Corinne.
and I
Yeah,
don't miss. It's
my
weird.
my golf game's garbage. I'm stiff. I have no
Are you playing more?
flexibility. No, not at all.
I need to. So I need to play a golf. I have an itch for it for whatever reason. I've been watching a little bit of it.
Yeah,
That's probably why.
no
but
itch here. I do like
no,
the Netflix series. It's
Full
fun.
Swing's great. Yeah.
Yeah, it is fun. Let's see here. Oh, okay. So we have an update on the headhunting rule as well.
Okay.
So the headhunting rule on PPA Tour cannot be deciphered in the moment. It is looked at after the match, and then fines are implemented. So that is so I like that. It takes the gray area away from the referee. That's a lot of responsibility on the referee to call it in the moment. So the committee or the commissioner or whatever takes a look at it afterwards, and you will be fined. And there's some pretty serious numbers that could be a possibility.
They got to make that money back from the salaries, you know.
Yeah, that's right. There's some chunky salaries out there. Some better than others, but
yes.
That's how it goes. The talent level changes quickly in pickleball. Spot on replay is the PPA's answer to close call replay, and we saw some
Sore.
What?
Sore.
SOR.
SOR. Spot on replay.
Spot on replay. That's right. So we saw it up on the video
Under the
board.
SOR system.
Yeah, right. And saw the little tiny ball in the middle of the ball to indicate where it landed. And
Question.
Yes.
And I'll fight this to the death. I don't care about all of you nerds out there that say there's this doesn't happen, but I'm tired of seeing that little ball in the middle of the bottom of the wiffle ball, because you cannot tell me that there's no little comet tail on some of these shots that are hit hard. You know what I'm saying? There's got to be you see in tennis, it's always a skid basically. It's always a little comet tail. There's got to be a comet tail in pickleball with how hard these balls are getting hit now. So to think that, okay, you see the ball and you see 3/4 of the ball on the outside of the line at the time it's going up. Don't tell me there was no skid across the line, though. Honestly.
I'm not a physics guy, again.
But would you agree that there's likely a comet tail on some of these? The ball's not going to come at this angle and then have a perfect little nickel size or dime size at the bottom of it. That's not how the ball's bouncing.
And I know it barely compresses, and I'm sure there is a slight comet tail, but in terms of a full-on skid...
I don't think a full-on skid, but it's definitely not a little nickel-sized... Beep,
boop. Yeah, no, that's fair. I don't really have an answer for you. What I do like
is as I am a physics guy, but I'm not. So,
but you're not. But I will say about the SOR system, spot on replay,
yes,
is I like it when it's on the big screen. Because if a player thinks the ball is in and it gets called out, you get a reaction. If it's just on our screen or the screen at home,
gotta have it on the big screen.
They're like, oh dang, that was out. Okay, I didn't see it properly, and they go on playing. But when you can see it on the big screen, and then the players are like, oh my god, how did they
run up to the screen, point at it?
Right? Yeah, exactly. I think that's another layer and another dynamic, and just another mental challenge that some of these players are going through.
Just bring out personality more.
Yeah, right, definitely. So, yeah, I do like that.
The SOR system, I like it.
The SOR system.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else do we have here? Yeah, the number 1 and the number 2 seeds down in ladies. That's way more drastic than the men's side. So, and man, when the rumblings around the event and in the player tent when a massive top seed loses, there's a lot of extra pressure. I remember this when a draw would open up, or you're not going to have to. Yeah. So that is another wrinkle that the players have to deal with, because there's a couple times where it happened where whatever, Ben and Colin or something lost in my half of the draw,
and then Pat.
Yeah, right. And then I'm playing, the number 12 seed that I've beaten 5 times in a row, and then I'm like, over here
Now you're
freaking
tight.
out, and
Yeah.
and yeah, now I'm tight. So yeah, that's a big factor. And I believe it was the quarterfinals. Annalie and Catherine go down to Callie Smith and Edatui Onatoa. So
which is yeah. That money line would have been wild.
yeah, I mean it's probably it's a plus
You'd have made a
eight
lot
to
of money.
1,200 or some situation like
Yes.
that. At least I think one of the factors was that Annalie and Catherine couldn't be as precise with some of their speed ups, and there's some decent power in the paddles of Callie Smith and Eddie Tua and Otoa. So they were able to put the ball away when it's floating up, in the wind, and they were also able to have some quality counters. But of course, the wind did affect Annalie and Catherine, and quite a few unforced errors creeped into that. So
You've
it was
got to
fun.
you've got to
I mean,
adapt in the wind, Adam. From
it
one
is
wind player to the next, you have to be
okay.
mentally tough, and you have to really adapt, and you have to enjoy playing in the wind.
Sarcasm font from Rob
Um,
Nunnery right there.
kind of,
Yeah, right.
kind of.
And then just a couple hours later, we had Anna Bright and Rachel Rohrabacher going down to Hurricane Tyra Black and Paris Todd, who played fantastic, by the way. Nobody's more athletic than Tyra, and I like what Paris is doing. Much more consistent, much better in the midcourt. Nice rolls on both sides. So good for them and good for the two upsets. And it was spiced up the tournament in a big way
Yeah.
to not get one part of the rivalry, to get both of them knocked out and, have some fresh players on a championship Sunday.
Always fun to see some fresh faces on Championship Sunday, Adam.
Yeah,
and
that's
good
true.
for like the points race and for the rankings, just to
Absolutely
get a bit more parity and not have it so heavily stacked up top.
Yeah,
Did I
for
see
sure.
that? Is Mr. Andre Daescu in the lead still in the points race?
Dude's
Nice.
a monstrosity. I mean,
Yes,
just
he
an
is.
absolute champ. My favorite fellas team, Ice and Ice, J.W. Johnson and C.J. Klinger, took a pretty rough loss to Staxrud and Alshon. So I mean, it's fun out there. It's fun out there, and I think it's cool to see Paris and Tyra, because I think that there's a pretty big chunk of guys that are hunting for that one spot and that can beat anyone on any given day. And to see some of that upper middle class tier of ladies break through and
Yeah.
kind of get in the mix, that makes it more exciting there. And I it's just going to get more and more. I think I don't see how Anna Lee can distance herself any more than she already is. And some of those teams nipping at her heels will make her better and make the matches better and make the tournaments better on the women's side.
I will say in the women's game, I still I watch a lot of these points, and there's so much scrambling, and they're like in the midcourt, and they're switching sides, and Anna Lee will say she's not a very traditional mover necessarily. She's a great mover, but not traditional. Kind of a little all over the place because she can be. She's no matter feels like no matter what position she's in on court, that her feet are pretty set and she's in good position to strike the ball, which is different because usually you see good movement in tennis, which is very structured and sidestep and plant and weight transfer, the whole thing. But she's she's rolling a lot of these dinks off her back foot a little bit, stable but off her back foot, and then but it's a top spin roll. You know what I mean? It's like she's off her back foot, which should be a defensive position, but she's rolling it and dipping it and putting it cross court, putting it middle. It's just point being, Adam, I don't understand as a player, thinking about myself working on midcourt, myself working on which I feel like I'm pretty good at, in terms of resetting balls and getting back to neutral. What they're able to do on the full scramble to roll balls back in the kitchen consistently and just not have any errors. They're not missing these. And I know on the women's side, there's less length. So, you have a little bit more cushion to make it in the other side's kitchen. And they're backing off the line a little bit to take it off the bounce as well to rip it. But the amount of balls they make just scrambling and putting in the kitchen, no matter what position they're in, still really befuddles me. It does. It does. I'm just somebody miss for the love of God, miss.
Sure. The shot making and the I agree with you with Anna Lee. What she's able to do on the full stretch or the full lunge or in a somewhat awkward position is pretty ridiculous. And I'd say Catherine is a slightly more traditional mover.
Yeah.
She just looks to the naked eye maybe to be more balanced at times, but Anna Lee Waters is a freak. She's something
Yeah.
special. And, for all you internet haters out there on the commentators, I'm going to continue to tell you guys how amazing she is, because it is something that is very out of the ordinary.
Yeah. It's deserves all the praise and deserves all the deserves to be talked about, because it's like the way she plays and what she's doing and the balls she's able to hit are special.
It's beyond special. So I still don't see how the gap is going to grow anymore. I think between what Anna Bright's been able to do in mixed and also in gender, I think that she's a clear-cut number 2, and then there's a small pocket of ladies behind them right now. So it's a fun time for everything, and it's going to keep getting tighter and tighter.
And I know we see this towards the end of the year, Adam, and we can kind of wrap things here coming up, unless you have other stuff. But like in tennis, you have the 250s, you have the different levels of tournaments. It feels like we're getting, and just in terms of parity, talking about that, it does feel like we're having all of the top ranked players play every event right now. And maybe that's just because it's early in the year. Maybe it's because I don't know the different levels of tiers of tournaments. And like, is that going to change as the year goes by, or will it, like, are all these tournaments like the higher level tiers? Like, what's the deal with all the top players playing what seems like every tournament right now?
Right. I think it did have something to do with the start of the year. So you have the opens that are 1,000, the cups that are 1,500, and the majors that are 2K for points. So the slams and the majors are 2x the points as a normal open. But it's also stacked up a little bit differently, where we're about to enter. We only have 2 more tournaments before we enter MLP season, and I believe there's only 2 PPAs during that 4-month or so stretch. So I think the grabbing at the points, trying to get your seed where you want it to be, and starting off the year is all playing into it. Now we have the second half of the PPA season when MLP concludes, and that's something where the grind of the summer moving into the fall, I think we could see players taking off more tournaments like they did at the end of last year. But it's pretty good right now. And actually St. George is one that some players do take off, because not the easiest place to get to. A lot of times you have to fly into Vegas and drive, and it's
sometimes snows
March and it's March in a situation where it could be cold and snows, as we both have seen. So but Anna Lee's playing, a couple of the other big names are playing. So I like that. Just take a couple of them out. There were some times last year where like 10 of the top players were out, and that of course that changes the landscape. But I like what I'm seeing with the quality of play from everybody, and 1 or 2 taking a tournament off, but not really more than that so far.
Alshon handling Fed pretty handily in that in singles. That's it's a big confidence is high right now.
Yeah, Alshon is kind of the male Tyra Black from a movement perspective. He had Fed hit a sharp cross-court short volley in the court. He ran and ATP'd it. Fed hit an incredible ATP defense, and Christian got all the way over and got it back. It was a 2-shot combination of court coverage that was absolutely silly and stupid. So it's something from him. He seems to be fresher and fresher. Pretty rough 6 months from him. Not a debilitating injury, but one that was clearly hindering his movement, especially on the singles court. So to see him be close to 100% or 100%, there's something different about the way that he covers the court from anybody.
Yeah. I'll be curious to see as these guys they already have a lot of mileage on the legs, right? Through tennis growing up and through college, etc. But, tennis is a different beast than pickle and singles. Like it's so start and stop and pickle that I do believe you're more injury prone in terms of leg stuff. Maybe not so much wrist or shoulder as you would see in tennis, but as these guys I'll be curious if they limit themselves to 12 singles events a year. It doesn't seem like it. It seems like they're playing everything they can. But I do think guys and girls, gals, ladies need to be just kind of aware and smart in terms of pacing the body.
Yeah.
Granted that pro pickleball, big prize money stays around for the next decade.
Right.
You're going to have to, right? You're going to really need to be smart about the mileage you put on your body and your legs, especially.
Yeah, if you're making deep runs and doubles, that also factors into the decision. But I talked with Matt Wright, not recently, a year or two ago, but he was saying like his like core tennis crew or group of players, as they were approaching their early and mid 40s, like they started to have hip and knee problems.
Yeah, I believe it.
And I mean, that's a lot of court time and a lot of grinding from tennis. And then you throw in pickleball on top of that for some of these players that are even in their late 20s or their 30s. That is something that will be a factor. And I think from a flat out lower body perspective, you don't have to go as far, but it's just constant start and stopping, like just constantly in pickleball. And I think they're definitely different from a court coverage perspective, tennis and pickleball, obviously. But I think that there's probably certain things of pickleball that are worse on your lower body if you're making deep runs and playing multiple matches every day in a traditional format.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Adam?
Yes.
I know this is episode 92, and people are going to hear that. They're going to be incredibly impressed with us. Two guys that hard to pin down, we could say. But our very first episode, Adam, was in Newport Beach at a lovely house with the prof was a part of that episode.
Oh, yeah,
I think, Adam, for episode 100, when we do hit it, we got to have prof back on.
Back on. We'll just start planning out the babysitting 3 weeks early, and we can make it happen.
Hey, we have 8 episodes till we get there, so you got time.
Oh, I got more time. Yeah. No, I like that. Well, I think that could be a good wrinkle too, because she's been shut off to what pickleball is for a couple years. So I think some of her insights and some of the topics that we can bring up about the transition and the change would be something that some players would be, or fans, players, whatever, would be interested in. So I like that.
Is she still keeping a pulse on things?
Is she still wedding?
Like keeping a pulse on what's happening?
Not
just
really.
Through you, kind of?
I mean, yeah. I mean, she's locked into the little nugget of love, and she is not really paying attention. She might throw it on for 5 minutes to let him hear my voice when I'm not there, but I don't, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think she gives a damn.
Yeah.
About most of it right now.
Good for her.
Not playing, not watching, not caring, and just focusing. I mean, she's a professor and a mom. That's pretty much all the time right there. So but I like that idea, and I think we can definitely make it happen.
Yeah, just give it a float by her. See what she says.
I will float it, and I will also see you next week, sir.
Yes, sir. And we have Hot Guy Nation coming up.
Woo! I love hot guys. I love hot guys. Big fan.
Love hot guys. Gosh.
Yeah.
Till then.
Till then.